follow the example. I'm Christy Birchfield. Today we are looking at 1 Peter. We're in chapter 2, the last part of this chapter. It's verses 18 through 25. And made me think, every teacher who's trying to teach anybody anything knows the value of having an example. I feel like it's almost required, honestly, to help students really grasp a concept. When you think about it, how many hours have teachers shared of lectures, of concepts and theories and philosophies? But we all know that it doesn't really click for students until they see an example. Seeing that example, understanding what something looks like in real life, helps us to bridge the gap between theory and application. The verse that we're looking at today is 1 Peter. It's chapter 2, verse 21. Here, Peter says, "To this you were called, because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps." Here, Peter's indicating that Christ is our example. The people had the law, right? They've had that for literally thousands of years. And they thought they had understood what it meant. They thought that they knew the theory behind being pleasing to God based on what was written in the law. But they'd never actually seen what that looks like. They didn't understand what the law being lived out really meant. They were trying, but Jesus Christ came as the example for us. He lived the life that God was demanding. And some of the things that he lived out, well, they looked differently than what a lot of the religious leaders of the day thought it should look like. But he was the example for us to follow. He understood God's laws way better than we ever will because he is God. And everything he did was perfectly in line with God's desires. Part of what Peter was sharing here during this time too is we have to understand, as he was our example, he experienced suffering and persecution and mistreatment as a result of what he was living out. As our example, we can understand we are going to experience those things as well. And how he handled them and dealt with those situations is also the way we are to handle and deal with those situations. Are we seeking to follow Christ in everything we do? He is our example, and our lives are to mirror his. Many years ago, the "What Would Jesus Do?" became hugely popular. It was based on a book called In His Steps. But this is the concept. If Christ is our example, everything we do should be done exactly the way Christ would have done it. Where are we falling short today? And where do we need to seek Christ's forgiveness and his help to live the life that he is requesting of us? Things to think about today. If you've missed any of the previous sessions through 1 Peter, such an incredible book, you can click on the link in the description below. It will take you to the full playlist for this series. And I'd love to have you like and subscribe so that way you can make sure that you join us tomorrow for the next set of verses through 1 Peter. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow.